Picture this: a son, still hurting from the loss of his mother, stands up to protect her memory in a way that shocks the entire world. That's exactly what Prince William did, and it left everyone wondering what would happen next. You might think you know this story, but trust me, there is so much more beneath the surface. This is a tale of betrayal, secrets, and a bold move that no one saw coming. It all starts with an interview that changed everything. The way the BBC got Princess Diana to agree to that famous interview was not honest at all. They tricked her with lies and fake papers. This trickery really affected what Diana said in the interview, and it wasn't just a simple mistake. This whole mess actually made things worse between Diana and Prince Charles, and it caused a lot of pain that spread to many other people over the years. The tension inside the royal family grew so big that it was like a pot about to boil over. This time, Prince William decided to do something very clear and strong. He reportedly made the choice to keep Queen Camilla away from the Diana Award, a charity that was very close to his mother's heart. This wasn't just a small thing, it was a major statement. Was he just being quiet and stubborn, or was he sending a loud message about his mother's true legacy? Even though everyone in the royal family usually smiles and follows strict rules, there's a growing problem that can no longer be hidden. What made him do this, and what does it mean for the future of the royal family? The answer is really shocking. Let's go back to June 2021. At that time, everyone in the world was looking at Buckingham Palace. Something huge had just happened that would bring back old memories and open up old hurts. The BBC finally admitted that a big investigation led by Lord Dyson was correct. What they found out was a real shocker. The report showed that the super famous 1995 Panorama interview with Princess Diana wasn't gotten in a fair way. It was gotten through lies, fake documents, and a lot of sneaky tricks. The BBC reporters had fooled Diana into doing this interview, which became one of the most famous moments in royal history. The truth came out, and it was a big blow to everyone. Right after that, Prince William stood in front of the cameras outside Kensington Palace. He looked very upset. You could see the pain, anger, and sadness on his face. When he started talking, his voice was calm, but you could feel the strong emotion behind every single word. He said that it was good that the BBC accepted what Lord Dyson found, but he also made it very clear how serious this was. He said that BBC workers lied and used fake documents to get the interview with his mom. His words were steady but heavy with meaning. People everywhere heard him, not just in London, but all over the world on TV, in newspapers, and on social media. For William, this was not just about a news report. This was personal, very, very personal. Losing his mom, Princess Diana, was still a very painful memory. Now he had to go through one of the darkest times in her life all over again. He spoke openly about how much she suffered, not just from the media chasing her, but from the betrayal and lies she faced from people she trusted. The trickery used to get her trust caused a lot of damage, not only to Diana but to the whole family. As soon as William spoke, headlines went crazy. People everywhere started talking about Princess Diana again, her kindness, her sadness, her tragic death, and the mean way the media treated her in her last years. William's words weren't just a complaint. It was a promise. He would not let anyone ruin his mother's memory ever again. But William wasn't just talking to the BBC. Hiding behind his words was something more: years of sadness, anger, and frustration about how his mother's story had been told over and over again, often in a way that wasn't fair or kind. Usually, the royal family stays quiet about emotional stuff, keeping everything private and perfect. But this time was different. Even Queen Elizabeth was reportedly upset by what came out. Prince Charles, however, stayed quiet. Maybe he understood how complicated the whole thing really was. As the days turned into weeks, the world kept talking. News channels, newspapers, and online discussions were buzzing with questions. William's reaction to Lord Dyson's report showed something very clear. The emotional pain inside the royal family was still very fresh. Even after all those years, Diana's story was still not finished. People were still arguing about her legacy. Throughout the rest of 2021 and into 2024, William started to quietly take steps to protect his mom's memory. He became more involved with the Diana Award. This is a charity that gives awards to young people for their work helping others, just like Princess Diana did. But this wasn't just a job for William. It became something very personal. He wanted the world to remember his mother the right way, honestly, with kindness, and with the respect she deserved. As the next Diana Awards ceremony got closer, planning started behind the palace doors. Usually, royal events follow very strict traditions. But this time, things were different. William was being extra careful about every single decision, especially about who would be invited. He was determined that this event would really show Diana's spirit, and that meant making sure nothing and no one would take attention away from her memory. As the discussions went on, one name started to come up more and more: Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall. Camilla's history with Diana had always been difficult. Their pasts were mixed up together in a way that was filled with heartbreak and years of tension. For William and his brother Harry, this wasn't just about royal roles or titles. It was something they had felt deep inside since they were kids. Even though Camilla was now a respected part of the royal family, the emotional weight of her past with Diana couldn't be ignored. It was a very sensitive issue, and for William, it was deeply personal. As the date of the event got closer, William seemed more and more determined to keep the ceremony focused only on his mother. Behind the scenes, people who knew what was going on whispered about changes being made. Guest lists were changed. Seating plans were looked at again, and some royal traditions were quietly put aside. It became more and more clear that Camilla might not be invited. Doing something like that would be very bold. It would go against royal tradition and might shake the royal family in a way that hadn't happened for decades. But William seemed ready to do it, no matter what happened. He was standing up for his mother in the strongest way he could. Every day, the tension grew bigger. Would it be right for Camilla to attend a ceremony honoring Diana? Would he really go through with it? And if he did, how far would the effects go? Let's take a closer look. The Diana Award means so much more to Prince William than just a yearly event. It's not just a ceremony or something they do every year. It's a very personal way to remember his late mother, Princess Diana. It was started in 1999, just 2 years after her very sad death. Over time, it has grown into one of the most respected awards in the UK. The point of it is to celebrate young people from all over the world who show the same values that Diana stood for: kindness, compassion, and a strong wish to make the world a better place. Every year when the event happens, it's not only loved by Diana's fans, but also eagerly waited for by young people everywhere who hope their work helping others will be noticed. These young people are chosen because of their inspiring work, like standing up against bullying, helping their friends, protecting the environment, and supporting mental health. As time went on, the award became more and more important, getting attention from leaders, charities, and the public. But for Prince William, it's never just a duty or something on his schedule. It's a chance to honor his mother's memory in a way that really matters. People who work with him say he puts his whole heart into every part of the event. He doesn't just show up, he gets ready carefully. He reads about each winner's story, learns what they've been through, and really appreciates the courage and love they've shown, just like Diana did when she met people in need. In the months before the December 2024 Diana Awards, the halls of Kensington Palace were filled with a quiet but focused energy. William and his team spent hours reading about every single person who was nominated. According to people who work in the palace, he was really touched by the stories of these young people who were trying to change the world. To him, they weren't just winners. They were reminders that his mother's spirit was still alive in the world. But something else made this year's ceremony even more emotional. New information had come out about how the BBC had tricked Diana during her famous interview back in the 1990s. This reopening of old wounds made William even more protective of her memory. He felt an even stronger need to make sure her legacy stayed respected and clean. Because of this, William took extra care when planning the event, especially with the guest list. In past years, invitations were sent to many people in the royal family, showing everyone coming together to honor Diana's legacy. Even Camilla, who is now widely accepted as the Duchess of Cornwall, had attended in a quiet, respectful way before. Her presence was always subtle and handled carefully because of her complicated history with Diana. But in 2024, there was a noticeable change. People who knew what was happening in the palace said there was a clear hesitation about inviting Camilla. William personally looked over every guest list and invitation. It became clear that he was being extremely careful, wanting to avoid anything that might take attention away from the awards or cause emotional discomfort. The BBC scandal had reminded everyone just how fresh Diana's memory still felt for William. Even though Camilla had worked hard over the years to earn people's respect, her connection to the pain Diana went through couldn't be erased. For William, this wasn't just about rules or how things looked. It was about honoring his mother's dignity. By November 2024, rumors started to go around that Camilla might not be going to the event. The palace didn't say anything publicly, but behind the scenes there were tense conversations. William, while respectful, held his ground. He wanted this year's ceremony to be completely focused on his mother, her values, and the young heroes being honored. To leave Camilla out of such an event was a bold and emotional decision, one that had never been made before. But to William, it was necessary. He wasn't doing it to start a fight. He was doing it to protect the true meaning and purpose of the event. Staff quietly changed seating plans, guest protocols, and other formalities to show this change. It became clear that William was moving into a new phase of leadership, one where he cared less about royal tradition and more about emotional truth and honesty. As the 25th annual Diana Award got closer, royal watchers and the media waited with curiosity. Would Camilla's absence become official? Would this set a new way for how future royal events are handled? Or would there be a last minute deal? Let's find out. The story between Camilla Parker Bowles and Princess Diana is not just a tale of two women. It's a story that shook the royal family and deeply affected Prince William's emotional life. Their lives got tangled together through love, betrayal, and heartbreak. This didn't just change the face of the British monarchy. It left emotional wounds that still affect decisions within the royal family, even decades later. Before Diana ever came into Prince Charles's life, there was Camilla. Charles met Camilla in the early 1970s and they quickly became close. Their connection was more than just friendship, it was romantic. But that relationship was put on hold when Charles left to serve in the Navy. During that time, Camilla married another man, Andrew Parker Bowles, in 1973. Even though they went on with their lives separately, the emotional tie between Charles and Camilla never really went away. It stayed hidden in the background, out of sight from the public. When Lady Diana Spencer married Prince Charles in 1981, she thought she was stepping into a fairy tale. To the world, it looked like the perfect royal love story. A beautiful young princess, a future king, and a life full of duty, devotion, and love. But what was really happening behind the palace walls was much more painful. Diana slowly started to realize that her husband's heart still belonged, at least partly, to another woman, Camilla. During the 1980s, the problems in Diana and Charles's marriage became harder to hide. The royal family worked hard to show a happy image, but behind closed doors, Diana was deeply hurt. She knew that Camilla was still very much a part of Charles's life. Even though Diana tried to stay strong and keep up appearances, the pain was heavy and constant. Everything changed in 1989. At a birthday party hosted by Camilla's sister, Annabelle Elliott, Diana showed up unexpectedly. That night, Diana did something incredibly brave. She decided to confront Camilla directly. In a private conversation, quietly watched by her bodyguard, Ken Worf, Diana told Camilla that she knew the truth about what was going on. She looked her in the eye and said, "Please don't treat me like an idiot. I know what's going on." Camilla's response was calm, almost cold. She said, "You have two wonderful boys." It was a chilling answer that made Diana feel even more alone. But it was also a turning point. For the first time, Diana had spoken her truth. Throughout the early 1990s, Diana continued to struggle with the pain of being in a marriage where she was not fully loved in return. By 1992, the truth could no longer be hidden, and Charles and Diana separated. Even though the royal family tried to keep things quiet and controlled, the emotional damage behind closed doors was overwhelming. It affected not just Diana, but also her sons, William and Harry. In 1995, Diana decided she could no longer stay silent. In her famous interview with BBC's Panorama, she opened up about the reality of her marriage. Her words stunned the world when she said, "There were three of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." That simple sentence became famous. It showed the world how Diana had suffered. And it made Camilla look like the third person who had come between a prince and his princess. For young Prince William, who was only 13 years old at the time, seeing his mother so sad and broken on national television was heartbreaking. It wasn't just about the public attention or the media. It was the feeling of helplessness watching the person he loved most fall apart. That pain left a deep scar on his heart. From that moment on, William became fiercely protective of his mother's memory. He made a silent promise to himself: never let her story be forgotten and never let her be disrespected. Then in August 1997, tragedy struck. Princess Diana was killed in a car crash in Paris. William, only 15 years old, lost his mother in a moment that felt impossible to understand. The pain of losing her, combined with the constant media attention, changed him forever. It shaped the way he looked at love, trust, and family. Years later in 2005, Charles married Camilla. Slowly, the public began to accept her new role in the royal family, but for William, it wasn't that easy. On the outside, he was polite and respectful, but on the inside, the old hurt still lingered. He had seen what his mother had gone through. He had watched her cry, watched her suffer, and remembered the woman who had caused so much of that pain. Accepting Camilla was not just a matter of royal duty. It was a battle between memory and healing. As the Diana Awards ceremony in December 2024 drew near, William had grown older, wiser, and more confident in his royal role. Yet the emotional wounds from his mother's struggles were still raw. Recent revelations about how Diana was manipulated into the infamous Panorama interview brought those old feelings to the surface, reigniting his protective instincts. This only deepened his commitment to honoring Diana in a way that was true, respectful, and free from any emotional confusion. From William's point of view, letting Camilla attend the 25th anniversary of an award specifically created in Diana's honor could potentially overshadow the event's true purpose. It could open up old wounds, not only publicly but also personally. His careful and thoughtful decisions about the guest list were therefore more than just a matter of royal protocol. They were a way of protecting Diana's legacy, ensuring emotional authenticity, and allowing room for personal healing. As the event approached, William's resolve only grew stronger. He understood that the decision about whether Camilla would be present or not was far more than just a formality. It held deep symbolic meaning. This decision wasn't just about his feelings regarding the past. It had the potential to reshape his relationship with other senior royals. Those around him could sense his quiet determination, understanding that William had already made up his mind. For him, the Diana Award represented something pure and untouchable, free from controversy. Honoring Diana meant ensuring that nothing or no one would overshadow her memory. But would William officially confirm Camilla's absence? And if so, how would the palace handle this unprecedented decision? Let's explore further. As the 25th annual Diana Awards ceremony arrived, excitement filled the air. Journalists, royal watchers, and the public all waited eagerly for the details, not only about who would be honored, but also for a glimpse of what was happening behind the scenes within the royal family. Prince William, with his careful planning, had made sure that every detail was perfectly aligned to honor his mother's legacy. But beyond the speeches, smiles, and formalities, there was a quiet tension in the room, one that would soon become clear. William's meticulous preparations reflected his deep commitment to the ceremony and to his mother. Photos of Diana, chosen by William himself, decorated the space. These images captured her warmth, compassion, and her dedication to helping others. Every part of the event, from the seating arrangements for the young award recipients to the emotional video tributes, was designed to highlight Diana's lasting humanitarian impact. Yet, what grabbed the most attention wasn't just who was there, but who was absent. As the guests arrived, members of the royal family were welcomed warmly by event organizers. Prince William and his wife Catherine, Princess of Wales, appeared calm but sincere as they greeted the young honorees. Prince Harry, absent due to his own family matters, sent heartfelt messages of support. King Charles observed from the background, respectfully aware of the delicate nature of the day. But there was one absence that no one could ignore: Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall. Her absence caused a stir, quickly sparking whispers among the media. It became clear to those familiar with William's careful planning that her absence was no accident. In fact, it was a deliberate choice. Prince William had quietly decided not to invite Camilla to this deeply significant event honoring his mother. Though he never made a public statement about it, this silent decision spoke volumes about William's emotional stance regarding his mother's complex past. By choosing not to include Camilla, William sent a powerful message that some wounds, especially those tied to his mother's legacy, were too personal to ignore. Despite the media storm, Buckingham Palace chose not to comment. Officials avoided discussing Camilla's absence and instead focused on the importance of the Diana Awards ceremony itself. However, this silence only fueled more speculation. Privately, sources close to the palace acknowledged that William's decision had caused discomfort. Camilla's absence was especially significant considering her growing influence within the monarchy. Reactions within royal circles were mixed. Some saw it as a respectful boundary drawn by William, motivated by love and a desire to protect his mother's memory. Others worried it might reignite old family conflicts at a delicate moment for the monarchy. Yet William remained calm and resolute. Those close to him described him as fully aware of the implications of his choice, both within the royal family and in the public eye. To William, this wasn't about causing conflict. It was about being emotionally honest. By excluding Camilla, he made it clear that his mother's legacy needed to remain free from any lingering controversies. Throughout the ceremony, William honored the young recipients with warmth and sincerity, highlighting their courage, kindness, and leadership. His speech centered on his mother's compassion and her desire to create meaningful change in the world. This message resonated deeply with the audience, both those present at the event and the millions watching around the globe. It was a clear reminder that Diana's values, so central to William's personal identity, would remain a guiding force in his vision for the monarchy's future. After the ceremony, media commentators analyzed every detail of William's tribute to his mother. While they praised his emotional authenticity, Camilla's absence continued to overshadow the discussions. In the weeks that followed, royal experts debated the deeper implications of William's actions. Buckingham Palace remained silent, but privately it was clear that William's decision had sparked significant reflection. Camilla respected his choice, understanding that some emotional wounds needed time and distance to heal. King Charles carefully navigated the situation, balancing his support for his son with acknowledgement of Camilla's position within the royal family. In 2024, the Diana Award continued to grow globally, with William's genuine commitment to his mother's legacy at the forefront. Young recipients often spoke of how his actions had inspired them. By the time 2025 approached, it was clear that William's leadership style had begun to reshape public expectations. His actions proved that emotional openness could coexist with tradition, transforming the monarchy's image and paving the way for a future that was both compassionate and emotionally honest. What do you think about Prince William's shocking decision towards Camilla during his mother's awards ceremony? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.